All right, I just clicked the button to go live, so we will be live, and we're live. Hello, Keith, take it away.
Welcome to Keith and the Girl. I'm Keith Malley.
I'm Chemda.
And please welcome Steffan Alun. How you doing?
Hello, I'm very good.
Very good. That's Welsh for sure. For those who don't know, first of all, this is a fun setup if you guys are watching on YouTube. I can't wait for last week on Keith and the Girl already. But people are gonna. What's up, Chemda?
Sorry, I'm okay.
Everything's good?
Yes.
I don't believe.
Hold on a second.
Hold on.
Okay, we're good. Sorry, I had a sound on something, and now I am no longer ruining our live experience.
Did I say it wrong? Actually, it's Steffan. That's
Steffan.
more right.
Steffan is right. Yes.
So I did say it right. Okay. Thank you very much. Welcome to Keith and the Girl. I'm Keith Malley.
I'm Chemda.
New guest today. He's touring the UK with his new comedy show called Strongly Agree. He's known for his stand-up showcases on the BBC and the S4C. And these are real things, not necessarily sexual acronyms, right? These are real, these are very exciting things. Steffan Alun, how you doing?
I'm doing very well. I realize now I could have just made up a load of acronyms and go, yeah, those are just British TV stations. You won't know them.
I made it on TTYL and NGL and ADHD. It's good to see you if you're on YouTube and you're seeing this is quite the setup. He's talking on one computer, we're seeing him on the other computer, and I assume that's has something to do with being overseas. I don't really get it. You're Welsh, and I know Chemda knows, but for those who don't know, where is a Welsh?
Where is a Welsh? That means I am from Wales, which is the western country in the United Kingdom. And I am a Welsh speaker. Welsh is a much, much older language than English. So that is it's evolved from Brythonic, which was the original language spoken in the UK before all the invasions.
What country are you closest to, like if you were a sports team? England, Ireland, Scotland?
Physically closest to England, but in terms of psychology, I think the Welsh and the Irish and the Scottish have a sort of Celtic bond, and all of us sort of come together in sports to hate England.
Okay, right.
So culturally, you side with the Irish?
Certainly.
Okay.
And indeed, you know, we are happy to support the French or the Italians if they are facing against the English.
No, your thoughts and prayers to everyone, of course.
Exactly.
Of course. Yes. All the white people in your neighborhoods over there.
If you had to pick, this is crazy. I know we just met. England or America?
Oh, we prefer America.
Yeah?
Yeah, because you've never invaded us.
Okay. You guys really hold a grudge. Yeah, us too.
I mean, give it time. But...
They say we speak English, and I'm like, fucking really? Really?
Also, in America, I feel like if you have like a great grandparent who is Welsh, you still consider yourself Welsh. And we're like, brilliant. We need the numbers.
Right.
Yes.
You don't have like a mandatory military, right?
We don't know.
Should you?
Well, I don't know. Like Welsh government has this program where instead of military service, they will take young children and teach them to write poetry. So that's our priority.
Okay. You tuck the enemy into bed. I see. I get it.
It's been working out.
We don't do well in wars, but the poetry written on the battlefield is beautiful.
Oh, wait. So you guys come out with a lot of art after a good battle. You battle with your souls while they take them. And then okay, I get it.
I made a little reference to ADHD. I saw you self-diagnosed with it, and I don't mean to say self-diagnosed like take it away.
Yeah.
Anything. You know if you are, it's not, I don't say I wasn't an alcoholic because a doctor didn't diagnose me. You got to self-diagnose.
Yeah.
And you do advocacy for it. What does that mean? You're letting people understand what's a myth and what isn't?
Well, yeah, I'm talking just in general about it being a community. The reason I don't have a diagnosis is because it doesn't affect me so profoundly and so badly that I need intervention or medication.
Like real ADHD would have got you working on one computer for us, right?
Exactly.
So it's not like a big problem.
Well, no, real ADHD would be I would never turn up.
Okay. Right.
So yeah,
See, I think people misunderstand, just like what Keith said. I think when we hear somebody has ADHD, we hear that they have it all together except for their social aspects. So we expect them to be perfect and we expect them to run everything on time. What's actually happening is, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you're not diagnosed or self-diagnosed or won't admit it, you are in chaos. And the more you can't do things perfectly, which we can't, the more chaos internally happens. And now you start showing chaos on the outside. So whereas if you were medicated or if you weren't on the spectrum so high, you'd be able to focus long enough and really streamline, like how people expect ADHD people to be, that beautiful stream. But if you are unmedicated or not admitting to ADHD, you are not taking tools in order to become that stream. You are just in chaos. You're probably an asshole. I'm sorry. You are you're responding to people really poorly and blaming others. Am I right?
I think
it'd be funny if she was dead wrong. Wouldn't it be funny?
Yeah, none of that is right.
Who wrote that book?
You fucking asshole.
So tools is a good word. Basically, it means that the world is not built for you. The world is built for people whose brains work a bit differently. So you probably need strategies for dealing with that. For me, that means like the strategies are enough. You know, you can go on the internet, you can find websites which will help you and say, hey, why not consider this? So for some people,
strategies, just to be clear, are because, you know, again, we think of ADHD people who can go on forever and focus on one thing. And you can, if you don't set an alarm, you will not switch to the other task that needs to happen. So that's one of the tools without medication, is setting an alarm so that your brain goes, hey, in this world, we have to switch to another thing now, even though we don't want to, even though we're doing well on this one. And that's, if you don't switch, you end up neglecting the rest of the day, the rest of your life, your loved ones, everyone. So that's
you have this,
tool.
Penda, or you know people in your life like this? Because you know this.
I read a lot about it. And I think a lot of people come off wrong when they have it. And if you could notice that they have it, you can use some of your tools to combat it.
Trick them, right? You know, does somebody say
well, you won't get as mad at someone. Like,
right.
Why are you late? Why don't you have this? And it's because, like, you're getting distracted and you're not admitting it.
Do people get mad at first? Like, I had ADHD when it came to science and math, but when it comes to fucking, not a problem. You know, I'm right there. Does your wife ever say, like, A, no shit, you have it, or B, at first, come on, man, just get your shit together?
Well, my wife has it more profoundly than I do. Well, no, actually, I don't know if that's fair or true. She has it as well, and it manifests in different ways. She is seeking a medical diagnosis at the minute, but that's because she does a type of job where there are more advantages to being diagnosed. I am a stand-up comedian. No one expects better of me as a stand-up comic. Right. People think all comedians are scatty and disorganized. So people cut me a lot of slack.
Fun for your wife.
Right. Well, we can just be disorganized together. I think a good way of thinking about it is this. If you don't have ADHD and someone tells you 5 jobs you have to do today, you can quite easily work out which one of those jobs is most important. And if you only have time for 4 jobs, which one you can drop. If you have ADHD, it's like all 5 of those tasks is written on a Post-it note of the same size and put on a wall at random, which means there's just no sense of order or reason to it. So for you, you have to finish this application, the deadline is today, is just as important as it would be nice to watch an episode of Friends today. Your brain can't tell the difference between how important they are. So that's why you need tools. And so alarms is good. Lists is good. I use a lot of Google Calendar with color coordinated things. And also I have people in my corner. I'm on tour at the moment. I have a tour manager. So I can just send her stuff, know what she's going to take care of, and know that if there's something I've forgotten, she will remind me.
What's the, when I say advocacy, what does that mean?
So advocacy for me is like, is talking about it openly and also working out what the misconceptions are and where we need to go. So for ages, ADHD in this country was thought of as like not real. Like people didn't really believe in it. They just thought it was over medicalization of different, like a difference in personality rather than a neurotype.
Like, again, school sucks. So yeah, of course I would have it, right?
Right. And from what I understand, because I thought that too, but from what I've read recently, it's the most underdiagnosed, most under-medicated neuroatypical disorder. Is that?
That is what people
True.
think at the moment, but who knows if that's
Right.
true either. You know, a lot of this is quite cutting edge. It's only recently that people have realized that it is possible to have ADHD
And especially with adults, right? Because there's they assume that the child grows up and out of ADHD, or the adult that doesn't show bouncing off the wall doesn't have ADHD because they're very relaxed. So you associate it with this, like, I can't sit down, I can't stand up, I can't.
Yeah, and it's hard to know if that's science or culture. I suspect it's culture. Part of the reason fewer adults are diagnosed with ADHD is because it is still a fairly new phenomenon to discuss. I think the same is true with sexuality. I'm also bisexual. Fewer adults are bisexual than young people. Like there's less Gen X bisexuality than Gen Z. I think that's just culture. It's becoming more known. The internet helps you go, oh shit, that's what I am, and you can sort of take it from there. So I think with ADHD, more people are talking about it. More people are doing this kind of advocacy. I use the word advocacy. I would never say that word on stage because it's not, like, it makes me sound like an asshole. But like,
you turn into your own bully on stage. You're like, I wouldn't say such dorky things when I'm trying to make people laugh. That's not a funny word.
More people should bully themselves. How long have you been married?
I've been married for 12 years, and I've been with my wife for 19 total.
Okay, and we're the same person, obviously.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. When did you realize you're bisexual? Is your marriage open? Does she say, "Why do you gotta keep talking about bisexuality? If you're with me, who gives a fuck?" I make my girlfriend say she's me sexuality. Why are you telling more people you learned that you're so open you could fuck anything, but I
choose not to.
Right. So it seems a bigger sacrifice. Like, I'm into trans people now. Well, are you fucking them? No, I'm married. I'm monogamous.
I had this with like, I always say bisexual. A lot of people would say pansexual now, just because they think of that as a more like open term. Like, you're not erasing non-binary people. But when I came out, I only had one non-binary friend, and I didn't want to sound like I was saying I fancy men and women and you.
Right.
Specifically you. No, so my wife is also bisexual, and this is part of like talking about it. It's realizing that who you're attracted to doesn't change in a relationship, right? And if you find like, you know, if your partner is like gets angry at you because you have a crush on a celebrity, that's not a great sign that they trust you. And so the idea is like, in the same way that just because your girlfriend is blonde doesn't mean you can't be attracted to redheads. In the same way, the fact that your wife is a woman doesn't mean that you're not attracted to men anymore. And pretending that you're not isn't very healthy. That's what we found over the years.
I think that people feel more comfortable when you prove it. Like, you have ADHD, you take no medication, don't have to go to doctor's visits. You're bisexual, but you're married, so you can't even. So I think that's what, like, and so Keith is going over there like, I could say the same thing.
Yeah. I'm super pansexual. I'm just in a relationship right now. Are you monogamous, to be clear?
Yes.
Okay. So when you get on a queer lineup, are people like, you motherfucker? Then your wife visits, you kiss her on the lips. It's like, you motherfuckers.
Well, I did worry about that. And so for a long time, I didn't come out publicly because I didn't think it was my place to do it. And part of it is seeing that, but then I did a gig with someone who said, thing is, there's far fewer men come out as bisexual than women. And you very rarely hear from bisexual men with wives because there's like a masculine
who
thing
cares?
that you can.
Masculine thing.
It, like the toxic thing of like, oh no, if I say I'm bi, people will just think I'm gay and in denial. And so I thought, well, someone should talk about this stuff. And especially with stand-up, you're like, it's always interesting to hear about a point of view you've never heard from before. And what I found was when I started talking more openly about my sexuality, even if all that means is sometimes I think a male celebrity is hot, but also you want to be able to talk about your childhood and like experiences you had back then. So I think it is kind of relevant. But bigger than that is the fact that it makes you part of this community. We talk about the LGBT community, but you know, if you have like a trans lesbian or like a bisexual man who's not trans, they don't have much in common on paper, but the fact that you are both queer people means you're kind of part of the same fight, you know, like it's the same type of stupid questions people ask. It's the same type of like horrible abuse that you get from people on the internet.
It's the same like ew that you can get as a response, and it's the same like, well, you're greedy. It's the same like why do you think you're like that?
Is it offensive to other is it offensive to other people on the rainbow because you say you can relate, but you're holding your hand walking down the street with your wife? But is it stolen valor in any way?
Well, I mean, I'm very careful not to steal any valor. Like, I don't think I would put myself forward. You know, like if someone says we want you to come on the radio to do an interview about gay marriage and we'll pay you £100 to do that, I would turn down that job. I'm not the person to talk about that.
Right, because you need money. Pounds. I see. Okay, it took a second. Okay. Is it true? When I quit drinking, then all of a sudden the world's drinking White Claw. Now I can guess what this is, but I am curious if everybody gets to have some. When you're married, you realize you're bisexual. Now again, there's 18 letters in this LGBTQ, and you can get 2 for 1 if you want. You can get a woman and a penis. You don't necessarily have to, go by these labels. We understand. Are you like, fuck now? But I'm married.
So many options.
But now there's
so many
new shit out there.
Flavors of gender. No, I don't think. I think if you're bisexual, you don't crave other people any more than you do if you're heterosexual. Like if you are in a relationship with one person, if that works for you, there's no reason that should affect a bisexual any less. Right. Some people do need to be in open relationships. Some people need to not be in relationships at all because they're just a fuckboy and they fill your boots, but be honest about that. But if you don't, you don't. I don't think you're, the stereotype of bisexuals being greedy. The greediest people I have ever known have been straight men who are like, I need to sleep with 100 people a year to feel manly.
Right. If I do role playing, my girlfriend might be a secretary or a nurse, or, so sometimes she earned her way to doctor. But do you ever say to your wife, no, the doctor's a guy tonight?
No, that's not really been my experience.
Okay.
Okay. But maybe it might be nice to hire a person to come in just to be the secretary and take the minutes during the sex session. If you can just you keep track of that.
Okay, but you never role play a different gender.
No, I think no, that's not something I've done. I've never heard of anyone doing that. I'm not saying it's never happened.
I don't want to brag. I would.
Okay, that sounds nice for you. I'm happy.
I think I would. Yeah, I think I turned you into a guy one night. Yeah.
What would you give? Would you give her a costume?
Him. We prefer him now. In this scenario, yeah. Thank you.
I'm already misgendering your role-playing hypothetical male doctor girlfriend.
The day she could become a doctor, she also has to play male.
Right. I mean, we're new to it
because he's still tricky. Straight.
Right. Well, that's nice because now she earns slightly more money statistically.
Right, and then she has to pay for dinner that night.
And that's actually what's turning him on.
Dude, does anybody say who's Carmen Lagala just opened for me this last stand-up show, and she was talking about, and she's pansexual, and she went out there and lived life, let's say, but now she's in a monogamous relationship. It's with a guy, and she says everybody's kind of disappointed. Out of everything you can have sex with, and you have, you settled for the norm and what society needs to put us in a box. Do you get any of that?
So yes and no. I mean, no, not really. I mean, I think what it is most bisexuals end up in a relationship with someone of a different gender to them, which you wouldn't expect, right? But the fact is, the world is built for heterosexual couples.
Right.
So if you can choose someone of a different gender and live a more normal life, that there are benefits to doing that. You know, sometimes it means not having to come out to your family. Maybe it means your family comes to your wedding and they wouldn't otherwise. So a lot of people end up in relationships like that. And that's part of the talking about it. It's making people aware that, look, just because you're a woman and you've got a husband doesn't mean you're not bisexual. It just means that, you know, your experience is the same as many, many other bisexuals' experience.
Now, when you talk about past experiences, you mentioned earlier that it's been a little bit more flexible with women. We get to say we've had experiences with the same sex and not have the visceral that people do. And as time passes, there's less of that for men. But when you're on stage, do you pay attention to your audience before you start talking about any experiences as a male being bisexual, that kind of thing?
Yeah, you are aware that there are places in the world. If you're in a gig in London, that's the capital, you know people are open-minded. People are gonna be bored, if anything, if you patronize them by expecting them to be homophobic. But if you're doing a gig somewhere in the countryside or some small town somewhere, you know that there are probably people in the audience who are closeted because they grew up in this small town. So I am a bit aware of that. But here's the rule.
You change your stuff? Okay.
Well, here's the rule. If you're funny enough, you can say anything. I believe that. Like, as long as the joke is good enough, it's almost impossible to say something that no one is homophobic enough not to laugh at you as long as you're good enough.
Because they can't help it. But that's interesting. Are your parents around? Are they still alive?
My mother is still alive. Yeah. And yeah, can I guess your question? You're going to ask how she feels, maybe?
I was going to ask that. Is your dad in your life? Did he pass away?
He passed away, yeah. He's been gone about 12 years.
Okay, sorry to hear. I mean, I think so, right? I don't know. Okay. Yeah, is your mom supportive? Did you feel you had to come out? And then is she like, okay, but you're still married, right? And you're like, yeah. And she's like, well, then I don't have a problem. And you're like, I kind of want you to have a little problem, though. And then I get you on the other side.
She has been great. It has, there are definitely things she doesn't understand or didn't understand sort of early on. I think these things are always a little bit complicated. And also, at the time, my grandfather was still around, and that's a different thing as well.
Sure.
And so yeah, you do know that. And also, I'm a public figure in Wales to a certain extent. I do stand up on TV and on the radio and things.
Right.
So it's one thing to be bisexual if you're like, oh yeah, I'm not telling too many people. But if you know that, well, you go on the radio, you go on TV making jokes. Now my neighbors are going, people in my chapel are going to find out. That is not that she's ever put that on me, but I know that is a tension in her life. That it's not just that her son is bisexual; it's that he is publicly bisexual. And
do you guys literally go to chapel?
I don't know. I was raised that when my father was a minister. So I was raised with I lost my faith as a teenager. I have not regained it yet. Who knows?
Sure.
Did you fight with your father as a minister when you lost your faith? Did you come out to him as losing your faith?
I did, yeah. He was actually very good about that because he believes that the thing is, at the end of the day, he believed in God and he believed in the idea that everything had a reason. So he believed that if I'd lost my faith, he just had trust that I would live long enough to regain it.
That is the most beautiful thing you could do, I think, as a man of God, right?
Yeah, it sort of made a lot of sense.
Well, God made you that way. Anyway, what are we having for dinner, right? What else do you want from your parents other than to be like, all right, that's how you were made. Next.
My dad was a Catholic priest before he got married. He lasted about 2 years. But you kind of figure it out in 2 years. Like, this is kind of stupid. But he was still very religious. Just pussy was better. He regretted it with 5 kids, but 5 times. I like to think he only fucks 5 times. I guess almost a miscarriage. I'll give you 5.5. I'm not sure how it works.
Well, you get 5 times and whatever you can fit into the 9-month window, right?
Right. So hopefully, don't say that. So anyway, I'm gonna vomit. But my dad was still very religious, and he's. I'm like, I don't know. I can't believe in this fucking Noah's Ark stupidity. People are, making meals inside of whales. And he's like, well, you have to admit that as long as like, I'll figure out the rest as long as I know that Jesus Christ did exist. And, I'm out of the house by now. And, this is not even 10 years ago. And I'm like, oh, okay, sounds good. He's like, you do believe in Christ, right? And I'm like, yeah, gave me a lot to think about. And then he would thank God he's not a priest, no pun, because he would have been the fucking worst if anybody had a crisis of faith. He goes to bed. I'm staying at my parents' house. He goes to bed. He gets up, and the kind of me and the rest of the kids are visiting. Kind of runs towards me. He slept on this and couldn't be more proud. He's gonna go. Do you celebrate Christmas? And I go, yeah, sure. Do you know why it's called Christmas? Christ Mass. I'm like, my dad's a fucking idiot. Again, a lot to think about. Thank you. And he's like, shit, I'm sure I had him. Like, he didn't rest that night, this moron. I'm going to tell him it's Christ Mass and not about Charlie Brown. God.
Checkmate, atheist.
Yeah, gotcha. Good. Yeah. It is. I wonder if it's a bigger kick in the dick when he says, when he thinks I was a priest or your dad was a minister, and it's like, this was my job and I couldn't even convince my own son. Did it seem like your dad had that? I think mine does.
No, well, he didn't show it. If so, I think he was a very, very good minister at that part of the job, especially. He was very thoughtful. So it was interesting. In about 2001, I found out about, I saw someone do a stand-up special, and they talked about creationism in it. And I'd never heard of creationism, this idea that the world is only 6,000 years old, that everything in the Bible is literally true. And so I talked to my dad. I was like, is that a thing? And my dad was like, no. But it was interesting the way he talked about it, which was, he said he couldn't endorse any version of Christianity that was not first and foremost about Christ, about the idea that God came in human form and gave his life to, buy humans the right to return. So it's like a moral thing. It's like,
but I don't get it. How can
that you have to believe that? Like, don't believe in the other shit. Just be honest and believe there's 3 people and 1 person, and that 1 person of the 3 was sent down to die for you. Just admit that's all I'm asking. But also he was like, it shouldn't be easy to believe. Like, it shouldn't just be like, oh, yeah, because if it was obvious, then it wouldn't require faith. And he was a big believer in faith, but also a big believer in thought. He was a very clever man. He was like, he loved talking to people he didn't agree with, and believed that was a good way to live your life, and you learned so much more about the world. And I still think that today. I think, in Edinburgh this year, I met a comedian who's a doctor who has worked with ADHD patients, and his take on it was different from mine. And we talked, and I feel like I kind of changed my mind, and I learned some new things, which I would never do if I thought, what do doctors know?
What's the new thing?
Yeah. So it's something I didn't realize is how over medicalized it is. So the idea that, yes, it's underdiagnosed, but when there is diagnosis, probably more people get medicated than should.
Okay.
And so the idea is the medication can be quite severe. The side effects can be quite severe. And so, yes, some people have ADHD so profound that the medication helps them get through the day, but is it worth it? Because maybe the side effects are bad enough that you would choose an unmedicated life, even though that is also difficult.
What are the side effects?
So you have to it's basically meth, right? You're microdosing meth. That's what the medicine is, which means you have to come off it at a certain time. It can affect your weight. It can affect your appetite. It can affect it's at the end of the day, you're taking something that is changing your brain. So
You actually
like,
just
yeah.
you only mentioned one thing, and that's the weight. And I think, pauses your appetite a lot, right? So you
mood swings is another one.
Hmm.
So yeah, like it can affect your, it means like you can be like really grumpy. It can affect your sleep. It means you can struggle to sleep or struggle to get up in the morning. So lots of different things.
I was just thinking about.
Wait, I'm sorry, but it could affect your sleep because are we talking about things like Adderall and Ritalin and things like that?
Yes, I'm not an expert in these things, but because I'm not medicated, my knowledge is only what other people have said.
What's going on with your face, Hinda?
It seems odd because yes, if you take these medications not at the proper time, you'll have trouble falling asleep because it is speed, right? So it's speeding up your system enough so that you can function normally. But if you're taking it, if you're misdiagnosed, you won't be able to sleep. If you're taking too much,
so I do know, a very good friend of mine got diagnosed.
I'm worried, and I'm sorry. I am worried when we talk about being over medicated, that is going to be someone's excuse to not take their right medicine. And that when they are being over medicated, instead of just dropping the level of the dose, they will just stop taking it because it's not for me. It's side effects. It's, yes, there is an onboarding, there is an adjustment to it, but I don't know.
That is a very, very fair point. And I am not advocating for no medication. I'm not one of these hippies like growing my own herbal medicine on a farm somewhere.
As a person who wanted to be, I get it. I totally get it. I'm like, let's just heal ourselves. Like this kale is good for something, but no.
But I think this is the thing, and this is the value of talking to people with different perspectives, is that the truth is probably somewhere in between. Some people should not be on medication. Some people should be. And there's a lot of people in the middle where it's ambiguous. It's hard to say, it's subjective. Maybe for you, the benefits outweigh the negatives. For other people, they don't. And I think pretending that medication is always the solution, I think is just as important as pretending medication. It's just as bad as pretending medication does nothing.
For sure. Yes.
I say, with everything, why can't we meet in the middle? My dad's like, I believe in Jesus Christ. I say, I don't believe in any God. He says, that's somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, believe in Vishnu. Just like...
yeah, what is that, Muhammad? What?
Yeah, I'm sure you would be fine with that. I remember being a kid, I don't know what, 14, 16, and it's just me and him driving home from church. And I don't know how it was brought up because I wouldn't have brought it up, but I end up saying Jesus, I don't know that I necessarily believe in him. And he pulls the car over dramatically on the side of the road. I still remember exactly where it was.
He must have been so excited. He had been waiting to pull the car over in that manner he saw 50 movies with the father had a point hold on now. Let's get, this is important. This is I know your mother's waiting for us, but oh my God, am I more important?
And I go, I didn't mean nothing. He's like, no, let's talk about this. You don't why don't you? I'm like, because we're not seeing anything. I'm sorry, a tree's not blowing my mind. No offense. And I'm not seeing any facts. There's no proof. I understand the word faith, but if it's literally about anything else in the world, we would be naive to go along with this. That's the way it feels. And then he's ready. Big sigh. Son, is George Washington real? And I'm not trying to be funny. I go, yeah. How do you know? You didn't see him. Where's the proof if George Washington's real? And I go, yeah, you're right. I don't know if George Washington is real. I guess George Washington is real and Jesus Christ is real. And he screeches off and we're back on the road and back home.
Checkmate, atheist.
Yeah.
It's so smart.
If I believed in God as a kid, I might be a flat earther now because it's anything fucking goes,
So this was my dad's point, right? Which is anytime he saw, I remember finding this YouTube, it can't have been YouTube because this was too early for YouTube, but there was someone who claimed that clearly God exists because of the humble banana. Because if you make a circle with your finger, it's a banana fits perfectly in the little grooves. And my dad was like, no. The whole point of Christianity is that there isn't proof. If there was proof, it wouldn't be faith. So there isn't some kind of checkmate atheist point that Christians can. In fact, you're very much not meant to do that.
Also, we made that the way we understand a banana. We made that. We made it that way. We made it edible for us. We made it fit in our hand.
Right.
That's such a good point. Yeah. If God exists, how come zips are so good? Like,
right.
Like, have you seen the TV show Glee? You think that just comes about by natural means?
Right. That's when you realize you were bisexual, by the way, right?
You're like, yeah, for sure.
Okay, I can dig this. Sure. Another season? Fuck yeah. Wait a minute. I think I love everything. Pope Francis has appeared to leave open the... Now, this Pope Francis pisses me off. And it's because people piss me off. They're like, how about this new Pope? He's more open. They said, hey, is being gay a sin? And he said, who am I to judge? It's like, well, you're the fucking Pope, the book. But why don't you make the rules that being gay is okay and less people will be literally murdered on earth? Why don't you do that? Never mind sending them to hell. But anyway, he thinks he can trick you. Well, you're not going to have gay weddings. You're not going to, you can't give communion to somebody who just had gay sex. So why are you acting dumb? Like, who am I to say? Anyway, we're talking about the exact same Pope, to be clear. Pope Francis has appeared to leave open the possibility of priests blessing same-sex couples, not married, in lieu of marriage, blessing same-sex couples if they are limited, decided on by a case-by-case basis, and not confused with wedding ceremonies of heterosexuals.
Fuck you. What the fuck did you just say to me?
I might bless you case by case. A blessing. Everybody gets blessed. They bless houses.
Case by case. This is the problem with case by case, though. Is like, you're telling me that every heterosexual couple has been ethically fine.
Right.
The worst. Oh my God. The way we could easily just get married when we're allowed to get married. And now everyone's allowed to get married here, right? So you could just get married. Then when you need a divorce, you start, like, all of these things start appearing. You know, the things that you've been seeing in windows of offices that just look run down, like, who works here? Turns out a lawyer, and he'll divorce you for $700. And that he's boasting about $700 because it should cost more somehow. You can get married for $30 with a stranger you bought a sandwich with.
Right.
Like, that's crazy.
Francis made his opinion published Monday, known in responding to conservative cardinals regarding a fairly common practice to have priests bless same-sex couples who are in a committed relationship. Hey, gay people, who gives a fuck? Fuck them. Who gives a shit? You're not even getting married. You're getting a blessing after you're telling this guy who's protecting kid fuckers, please. Hey, person in charge of kid fuckers, can you please give me a blessing? I'm not saying like heteronormals. I'm saying, like, please, can we just acknowledge us as people? You kid fucker protector. And that was one of the things, by the way, speaking of my dad, he's like, all groups have a certain percentage of kid fuckers. I'm like, I don't know that the firemen are known for it. I don't know that teachers are necessarily known for it the way priests are. I don't think so.
I think the thing is, like, yes, there will be a small percentage of teachers who, commit this horrible crime and take advantage of students. But there isn't a man who claims to speak for God going, nah, that guy's all right.
Right. Now you go to prison. You don't transfer to a new school. Francis said that the church was very clear matrimony could only be between a man and a woman, but said that pastoral charity should permeate all our decisions and attitudes. You're not being married, gay people, to be clear. You're getting a blessing. That's stupid incense on you. Oh, great. Very exciting stuff. Good for you. Maybe you can wear the ashes to work and say that you got a fucking blessing that day. And also keep in mind what's being done to you is charitable. It's a favor, and favors it's best to give. And they're saying being charitable is very important in this religion. It's charitable to bless you, but not marry you. How dare you even ask him for permission? Fuck that church. Get the fuck out of here. Statements in March when the Pope said the church could not bless same-sex unions because they could, quote, not bless sin. Who am I to judge? Not bless sin, he said. The latest development appears to be a nod to a decision made by the German church in which same-sex unions received a Catholic blessing from several priests. How romantic. Fuck out of here.
It's such a disgusting way to try to play both sides.
Yes.
Right? Like to try to go like, hey, conservatives, we're still on your side. Religion is still religion. These people are going to hell. But hey, people who are about to leave the church and not going to give us the 10% of your salary, we're like kind of cool with you. Like,
Right.
don't leave. It's such an abusive relationship. And it starts when you're a kid and you're told you are going to burn in hell. Do you know how scary that is? I mean, you guys do. I don't. Burn in hell, right? And then when the Pope is like, all right, fuck it, I'll kind of bless you. You're like, well, will I kind of be put out of fire like once a week if I get blessed? Like, will I have like Sundays off from hell or something like that? You are promising eternal damnation, or this guy blows something in your face for a second. I don't know how you blow.
You're still in hell, but you're allowed a very powerful electric fan.
Right.
Did you? I didn't have sex till I was 18, and I'm sure it was because of religion. And then I got a blowjob, and my eyes fluttered like I was Trinity in the Matrix. I'm like, I can fly a helicopter now, and I'm like, oh, this is all bullshit. And then I got laid at 18, and then life was good. Did you wait long?
My chapel wasn't really like that. It was a little bit more progressive. So it didn't like preach like having to wait until marriage. The older congregation probably did. They just didn't talk about sex much. So it wasn't like a fire and brimstone type thing. It was a much more positive, like my dad's sermons were usually about like treating mankind the way you would treat Christ. Like you are not a good Christian if you are not looking after the most vulnerable people in society.
Wash each other's feet for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
You filthy animals.
Yeah. Well, one day it's, I know that even though I didn't have sex with my first girlfriend, Shannon, we're going to get married and start a family. Then all of a sudden, again, you get a blowjob. It's like, I know Kung Fu. A new poll has revealed how many people are planning to get or not get the latest COVID-19 vaccine. See, I don't believe in God, so I do believe in the COVID vaccine. Results from the survey conducted by the blah, blah, blah. It seems like it's not necessarily Republican or Democrat. Showed that 23% of U.S. adults will definitely get the updated vaccine. I just got it yesterday with the flu shot. 23% will probably get it. 23 definitely, 23 probably. Meanwhile, 33% of U.S. adults said they would definitely not get it. The booster we're talking about. 19% would probably not get it. It was just approved by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention.
So 50-50, hardly.
Right. Okay. When
no,
you
it's
die,
less
I'll pretend that I give a shit. I promise.
It's less than 50-50, and it's not them who are necessarily the ones who are going to die, and it's all very frustrating. Can the Pope bless the vaccine or some shit? Like, what needs to happen?
Oh my God, that would do it, wouldn't it?
Right.
Wouldn't it? Powerful, great one.
Imagine if the Pope was like, I have blessed this. It no longer has any Bill Gates microchips in it.
Right.
It's just pure. If you take this vaccine, you're more holy.
And you know what? You don't even have to marry it. I'm not even blessing like you're getting married. So don't do that.
Even if you're Catholic, if you take the blessed vaccine, you're allowed one blowjob now. Only
one.
one.
Shit. Yes. A coupon for a blowjob from the Pope.
It just occurs to me that my wife downstairs is only hearing my side of this conversation.
Right. We're going to edit it so you just sound like a wacko when she listens.
Hang on, I'm going to wait. What did you shout?
What's that?
My wife says, I cannot work out what this podcast is about.
Right. I saw the word comedy, but what the fuck could you guys be talking about?
I did realize I just yelled, yay, blowjob coupons from the Pope. I think I just yelled that. I don't know. Sometimes I wonder what my my neighbors think of me. They play video games. I yell about blowjobs.
Right. This year's Nobel Prize in Medicine has been awarded to 2 pioneering scientists that worked on the vaccines to stop the spread of COVID-19. The Onion put out a fake article. 54-year-old Facebook user wins Nobel Prize for own extensive internet research into dangers of COVID vaccine. So good for everybody.
Funny. That's great.
We talked on
so good.
So good.
We have the VIP show last week on Keith and the Girl, where we talk about what happened last week with the guests. We'll talk about this computer setup right now. I'm very excited about that. Rod and Karen do a fantastic job. Moving on. Rod and Karen do a fantastic job. KeithandtheGirl.com/VIP. Here's somebody rating. This is Appia, I believe. And my printer's a little weak. Karen and Rod are the best addition to Keith and the Girl ever. Love everyone on this show. Lil Puss says, I love this show. This episode especially felt like listening into great friends' conversations. I believe this is 13. Great episode. And Keith, you said that your pharmacist was Hindu. Just a side note for Keith, Hindu is a religion, not a language. Hindi is a language, but there are hundreds of. First of all, I kind of have a speech impediment. Maybe I said Hindi. You don't know, but there are hundreds.
Oh, you can't play that card.
Well, I'll tell you the card I will play. Hindu is a religion. No, I said, man, I didn't really understand what was going on because he gave one shot, the flu vaccine. Then he had to take time to do a prayer. Then he gave me the COVID vaccine, and I'm like, I think, and first of all, don't presume to know my pharmacist. Okay, I know this guy. By the way, I'm probably not even fucking close. That's the irony. Anyways. I do want to put a clip about our vaccine talk from last week on Keith and the Girl. If you're new to VIP, I want you to know how fun it is. Tomorrow's do great. We're going to be recording with Newsy in a second. He's fantastic. On and on. The Daddy Issues show that I do with my brother Ken. KeithandtheGirl.com/VIP. It's all right there. Get all our shows for the price of lunch. We need all our IPs to turn to VIPs. That's it. Stop waiting. Sign up today. If you don't like it, I'll refund your money because it's a trick. You'll love it. And thank you to all our VIP subscribers. Your membership, quite frankly, it keeps this podcast going. Steffan, what should the audience know? What needs to get done? How do they see your shows? Congrats on all your success. In 3, 2.
You should find me on social media. I am. I've got a stupid name on all of them. Steffan Alun, which is with STEFFAN ALUN on Instagram. Okay. On things like Twitter, I'm Stalin, STALUN. I think on the
Did
new
you say
one.
Stalin?
Yeah, it's the first 2 letters of my first name. It's all of my surname. Makes me sound.
You can find that on X. Right.
I am on X as the dictator.
What are you on TikTok, Hitler?
So I think I'm Stalingrad on TikTok.
Stop it.
It's very nice meeting you. I'm glad this worked out. It's good to see you. I believe it was Mike Kaplan that recommended you to us, if I'm correct.
It was, yes. Very
yes.
kind of him.
And
what did he warn you? What did he tell you about? What was the warning?
What did he warn me?
We know.
He warned me of nothing. He just said, I've done it, you should do it, you'll enjoy it. And then I listened to his episode to be like, let me see what this is like, and I'm glad I did.
When you listened, are you like, are Keith and Mike friends?
Yeah, I was like, whoa, you ride this guy pretty hard.
All right, do I not want him to like me, or is it best we're just meeting? All right, I won't send any preamble emails. Let's just hope Mike he doesn't respect me. Holy hell.
He is such a nice guy that every other podcast he does, people treat him with such respect, and then he comes on here.
I don't need that business. I like to, you got to put him off guard a little bit. It was very nice meeting you. Thanks again for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
I'll stick around for a second. I'm just going to close up, but we'll give you a proper goodbye.
Okay. First of all, Chris says, I think this app should be called Checkmate Atheist. And I wrote that down right before you said it, Chris. Okay.
I wanted to be called Blowjob Coupons from the Pope.
That's a good one too, actually. And then Ryan V, who, I got to say this ahead of time, doesn't believe the vax worked because he still got COVID and he was vaxxed. Okay. Which is not a thing, Ryan. Was listing all the side effects of the medications that we were talking about.
Oh my God. How about 200,000 people still a fucking week in a hospital? How about those side effects?
Yeah, but no, of the side effects like the ADHD
Oh,
side
I
effects.
see.
So
Okay. Okay.
heart
Sorry, I
attack,
got riled up.
strokes. Yeah. You know what the side effect of my open heart surgery was? I have a frozen diaphragm, but it was worth not having a fucking tumor. Stop listing